This is world-famous Detective Richard Moore, and you're listening to the Case Closed, One Truth Prevails podcast.
What is going on, everyone? Today we are talking with Professor C. Apera wasn't able to make it today, so we have a new guest.
Yo, what the fuck? No, sorry. That's probably not right. I'm sorry. I'm going into a major rebranding right now. I mean, you can still call me Apera while I'm here. More of a transition to Sega, Nintendo, and the new Switch, kind of get my boost off of that, because a lot of people, that's how they make it. That would be called speeding into the Mania, if you want to look me up. But Apera is fine for when we discuss this.
And we also have Conan.
I still have no brand, so it's fine.
So we have a lot to cover today. Like, we've had a bunch of stuff go on.
Hang on. I might be blinking, but did you at all introduce Professor C at all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
To be honest, none of this would be going on without Professor C. Like,
I don't know about
No,
that.
he started it all for sure. I don't know. I know I said this a million times in the podcast, but when I said Case Closed was dumb, at least from the imagery of it, when my friend was putting all the anime on my computer, and then I gave it the shot and I binged it because I'm like, this is great. This is like still my favorite show ever. I think I'd say, but even though I don't really watch TV that much anymore.
well, he did do a lot, like, for us.
Oh
and-
yeah. When
yeah.
I finished the first 5 seasons, or 5.5, because they didn't finish 5, the first thing I did was look for season 6, and you're like the first thing that came up. So,
That's pretty funny.
to us, you're the one who started it all. And without you, honestly, there would have been nothing to even compete with. Like, that's just my opinion. I feel like you really carried it through the darkest years.
Yeah.
Everyone clap for Professor C. He deserves it.
And I would just say it was kind of like, oh, there you go. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like it was in a weird kind of spot, because when we came in, it had all just, like, the movies had just finished coming out, the last Funimation one.
And they did that
so,
really weird
know.
rebranding on YouTube.
Yep.
And with all Case Closed and whatnot.
Really awkward time, but I
Yeah.
mean, it seems to be coming full circle. I mean, it is kind of weird. To kind of sit here, we haven't had a release as far as Discotheque for about a year now, so it's kind of weird. I kind of thought they would capitalize on the momentum.
Yeah.
And
And it's usually a physical release a year after the digital comes out. It'll be interesting to see, because like we know they've been sitting on some movies, so it's just kind of weird that we're getting them now. And I don't know if it's like, okay, let's just get rid of what we got in the tank and we're done here, or if it's like, we weren't even sure if they were going to do that. It got so weird and quiet. But I also think it's somewhat of oversaturating the market. I think you got to give each one time to breathe. And I feel like maybe like this is like, coming in 2024, this might be like, hey, we're going to do another round of this stuff. Like, give us more movies and maybe more episodes from Tubi. I don't know. I feel like we're still setting on a few episodes that were recorded and just were never released. So like maybe they'll do more. I don't know if Team Entertainment was pleased with it. I have no idea how they felt about it, because it was really kind of sketchy at first with the quality and whatnot. It's gotten a lot better, and they started to be able to kind of, and they were able to start a free range a little bit. So it was kind of interesting to, hearing him go, "I'm Rad AF," like,
Oh God.
So they came a long way from sounding like they have a little bit of flexibility from when they started. It was, Ayumi sounded like she was in a bathroom or in a echoey closet. And then whenever they had a character just one-on-one in the room with her, they put a filter over the other person just so it would, match the noise. And I think that was really funny, because finally when she sounded like she was coming, like she was out of the closet, and then this woman comes along and she sounds like she's in something. So they put like a weird filter over Ayumi to like match the room. And I'm like, this ain't right. So I don't know. They come a long way, so I could see them still going with them, but I don't know what their plan is with the TV show anymore.
certainly hope they go with them, at this point.
Yeah, but with this movie finally coming out, and it's not the only movie they're sitting on, it makes me feel a little bit better, because I'm like, there's no reason why we did not get this movie any sooner than when we did. Like, literally, this movie was announced to come out in English. Never got released, and then they finally, like a year later, showed it off at they were gonna show it off at New York, and then they canceled that, and then they gave us The Darkest Nightmare, and I'm like, what? So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it, just because they're finally giving us this. I could see Dimensional Sniper following up like very quickly, kind of like within like 2 months or something.
It might be like the same situation that we had with the Heiji movie. Like it just came out like a month apart.
I mean, right now, like I said, we're sitting on the Scarlet Bullet, we're sitting on Dimensional Sniper, and they always try to tease us, which they haven't done before for this, this cycle yet, but they always tease us the most recent movie coming, like movie 25, and then that did really well box numbers, so like I could see that have been in the works. And if not, movie 26 definitely is. Like, that one, not only does it constantly keep breaking records, but like this one's just too big not to, and it's another Black organization movie.
Right.
I totally see 26. They might as well do 25 in between, even if they release them out of order.
I mean, 26 has had the widest release I have ever seen for any Conan movie. Like, they've been releasing it in every single country. Like,
I would say 24, 18, 25, and 26 are like definitely there, but I know they're at least still sitting on 18, so it's kind of like, give it to us. What's odd is they've been doing this thing with India, like, no, with the movies, just like, I'm not even talking about them like burning through, passing Funimation or anything in English. I'm just like referring to the movies. It's just like a little bit insane that they're like, oh, Scarlet Bullet coming to India, and you're like, haha, before you guys, and then Bang Zoom steps up and goes, hey, guess what, Scarlet Bullet coming out. We're like, oh, okay.
They've finally woken up.
And they're like, no, you can't release the same thing we are doing. And then they're talking about movie 18 coming out there, and I feel like TMS is like, okay, hold up, gotta throw the international dub in there too. I don't know. It's really interesting, but I think that they're licensing it out the same as Funimation was, which it surprises me that they do that. But I feel like there's either some really strict rules there, like, hey, you have to do this, follow this. If you don't do this, you can't do this. And maybe they don't have streaming rights as much as like Funimation did, like where Crunchyroll would upload the first 5 seasons and then Funimation would pull it down. I don't think there's rules like that with them. I think it's kind of like, hey, you can televise what you're doing, but you can't necessarily stream it. And if they do have some form of streaming service with it, then I don't know, but I feel like there has to be some kind of clause where it's like you don't fully own these 5 seasons in English.
Yeah, no, the streaming rights for the movies is actually like on another website. I think that's
the movies are different, because mostly you're not streaming the movies, and the international dub is what they would use, and that's their own property. It's not like Funimation doing it, so like they can do whatever the hell they want. To me, that makes sense if it's just the movies.
Yeah, I mean, in America, the movies do like come on technically streaming because it's like on Amazon Prime and iTunes and stuff.
Which they pulled down. Are they back up? Are they back up yet? I know that the physical option was like that was the only thing that was there. Like for a short time, like you had to buy it physically.
I mean, talking about the physical one, like the website. I forgot the website's name.
Like Right Stuff.
Oh,
it was also on Amazon, but no, when I had to share remember when I was doing like the posts, and I was sharing the one about Jodie's voice actor, not her Japanese one that sadly passed away, and that's going to be sad, but not on that, but on the English voice actor, when I was tweeting about her and I said where to go see her at, the link I had to share was to a physical tape on Amazon because the digital one wasn't there anymore. It was like, it just said unavailable. Like the listing was there, but you couldn't go and rent it. So if it's back up now, that's good. But it was down for more than a week because I kept checking and it was still down. And that was a long time ago. So I have no reason to check now. We own the movies. So
I mean, but the ironic part about like Right Stuff right now is that it's acquired by Crunchyroll, which acquired Funimation. So it's basically Conan is back at
square one.
I always made the joke that it was like Funimation was suing itself because like they tried to forcefully take down Conan because they just really wanted to make back what they were what they put into it, and I get that, but then just shortly after they did that and they took it down, Funimation bought them out and then they re-uploaded the episodes. So
yeah,
it'd be funny if that's how that all went down. Like they bought it on, like, hey, we want to upload these, buy them out. I don't know if that's what happened, but that'd be a funny moment.
Well, I would say now I think Tubi, as far as the Miami dub, my hope is that they're just dubbing them in chunks. Hopefully,
yeah. It's like we're just
would
waiting
be
on
the
the next
would be the
chunk.
hope. Now I know when I talked to that voice actress, she told me that
Gia.
And she had told me that they hadn't recorded for a while, so maybe there was just a period in between there, and maybe now it's one of those where they're going to come back. But I think what's happening in India is just unbelievable because I think this is the biggest undertaking in the history of the series, and the model of which they do it, and being able to choose the language from the channel, and there's some pretty innovative things going on there.
And it's not just the 12 languages either. You can pick and choose episodes.
Yeah.
and be able to afford to do that. Usually you buy a season and it's like you better use that entire season to make your money's worth. And they're just like picking and choosing. And I really, really wonder, is like TMS Entertainment just letting them pick and choose? Are they able to individually pick out episodes? Are they just handed episodes by them, being like, hey, these are main ones? I don't know.
I don't think that TMS is giving them the episodes per se. Maybe they have the reins to choose the episodes, because some choices were like pretty obscure. Like there was like a lot of mainline episodes, and then all of a sudden they went to like
anime originals.
Not anime originals, but some cases that didn't make any sense, like the Kogoro Ran and Conan go to a wrestling match, which doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, but it was still a manga episode though?
Yeah, no, that was a manga episode. I remember that specifically.
Well, I feel like you still got to use that, because usually after the credits are some big bombshell of some sort that like pulls you back into the plot.
There was literally nothing else, and they skipped the next 3-part Heiji case and another Kaito case.
Yeah, so I don't know.
It was like, why are you skipping those and doing the wrestling episode?
There could be an intention to go back, though. I see that as a possibility.
Yeah, there definitely is.
I feel like it's also hard when they're trying to rush as fast as they are and trying just to pump it out, keep momentum going. Yeah. I think that's just like a lot of error to mistakes too, and they don't know the show front end to back. It's not like they've watched it all probably, so it's kind of like they're like, oh, Heiji, whatever, keep going. Like,
I mean, they do have like a set limit of episodes,
and they cherry pick. So look, that could also be why. It could be like they were nearing the end of a batch and was just like, hey, we can only pick so many more episodes.
Exactly.
We don't have 3 left. Let's just pick the wrestling episode. Is possibly what could have happened. I don't know.
But they always like choose an end game for like where they want to reach with the 150 episodes. So the end goal here was the Halloween episode with the 2-hour Halloween episode with like Conan, Heiji, Heiji dressed up as Shinichi and stuff. So that was like their final goal. So they wanted to reach there.
I think it's funny that make your final episode of the batch like 4 episodes long, but you only have to put in a 1 episode credit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because they ordered 150 episodes, and the last episode they do is 4 episodes worth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like they're following in production wise, they're following the Funimation thing of like splitting it up into episodes. So even though it's like a 150 order, that's like just 122.
It's gonna be longer than that.
Yeah, it's just like 122 episodes, like from the Japanese count. So we keep track of the Japanese count and not the Funimation or the production count. But I think we should do the production as well, because these stuff are split into multiple episodes, and it's pretty interesting to see like how people do it like behind the scenes, even though we don't have a look at like how it's going on.
Yeah, I can also see them just being like, that was probably a rule too, like you can't go just numbering things any way you choose. Like, I feel like they're very protective. Well, you know what I mean? Like, you can't go like, oh, this is episode 122 when it's really like 128.
Oh yeah, definitely. They can't do that. I think that's why they moved the Conan like telling the episode name in the start of the episode so that they could keep track of it easily or something. But that's like something that they've changed. They've done a lot of changes. Like Minor changes, but a bunch, like moving the title in front, and then Kaito Kid's name, as you guys know. And then yeah, I guess removing the intro, outro, removing the doors opening and closing. That's for like saving time, I guess. But even though they did all of that, I still think that they're doing a pretty good job, like with what they have right now. Like for someone who doesn't know about the franchise, who's like picking it up right now and dubbing it, they're doing a good job, to be honest.
No, I 100% agree, and it still astounds me. Like I'm still like profusely shocked, where I'm just like, how is this still going? And it just goes to prove that Funimation could, it was still successful when Funimation was doing it. It still made good numbers. It wasn't making Dragon Ball Z numbers. And I'm sure it would probably make those numbers now. But if it was like airing on Crunchyroll, let's just say, and now that they own each other, it would have been just perfect. But I don't know. It just kind of shocks me that it's just like it just show you what's possible.
Oh wait, Professor C, did you like watch the movies? Did you get a chance to watch them?
I actually watched some clips, and I was actually pretty impressed by them.
Yeah.
I did see some clips. I didn't watch the entire films yet, but I do intend to. I think they've gotten pretty good as far as I think they've had time to kind of be with their characters, and it seems like they're more comfortable. I think in those early episodes, watching it seemed like they were kind of getting their feet wet. And just among the different dubs, and you and I have talked about it, obviously, as far as the ones that have been good and the ones that maybe need a little work, and there have been some casting changes here and there, but there obviously are some standouts. I still think Kogoro is far and away the best version. I've probably heard of Kogoro, I don't know, maybe since the original Japanese voice for him in the English version. I think he's unbelievable. So yeah, I think they're doing a great job. I'm kind of interested in this whole movie piece now, because I know that obviously there's a lot of hope for more to come as far as episodes, but as far as the films, kind of interested to see how they handle this, because they're doing it in a way that's out of order, but it almost shares an intention on their side to do all of them essentially. But they have no problem airing them out of order. I guess it's just as they're finishing recording, or I don't know what the intention behind that is.
So like actually talking about like these characters and these people like just voicing these characters, they've been doing it for almost a year at this point. So that's like insane to like think, and that's and they've actually improved a lot. Like even the Hindi dub of Detective Conan has improved a lot. Like I haven't seen a single person say anything bad about the Hindi movie dubs. Like everyone's been saying like it's really good. So every single language has improved for these movies. Like a jump, they just jumped like in terms of quality. There is some mixing stuff going on with some languages, but I think English was pretty good. Like it wasn't it didn't have any audio issues or whatever. But they've been actually listening to what people have to say, to be honest. They are doing it in like their own order at this point, so they're just recording stuff. So I believe the next one should be coming out in November on Diwali, I guess November 12th, which is Dimensional Sniper. And then after that, we're going to a Funimation movie. I don't know why they're choosing these particular movies. Like, as you've seen, like, it's all just stuff that's been licensed in the US. So I'm not sure if this is intentional or is it just a coincidence. Like, is TMS telling, like, these movies have been acquired?
It's coincidence. I
I
promise
think
you
it's coincidence. And the only reason why I could say that is, one, they're past Funimation's dub point. Number one. Number two, they already did movie 7, which we never did. To any capacity.
Yeah.
I thought to any capacity, not even Bang Zoom. We got the terrible spinoff of that movie in English.
Oh no.
But I'm not going to talk about that. And then I had a few things, but I already forgot what the other one was. All I know is I liked Dr. Agasa so
in the
far.
English. Yeah, he was really good.
And then, and I really didn't like the one that we had before, but I liked that one voice direction he took, and like one of the last things we got, and then they completely changed him in the the Tubi Dub. So it's just like, that really upset me when I finally got to like him, and then they gave him an accent that doesn't even make sense, and I'm like, okay, cool, great.
Yeah, I will say on the Tubi side, they opened up their casting a lot in that second
Yeah.
half. They need to continue to do that. If they dub more, they need to open their casting,
Yeah.
up more significantly.
And then JoeB, he's watched all these movies like in all the languages. Like he just keeps going back. I don't know how you can do that.
I mean,
I feel like I'd have to watch them all in one language and then maybe go back like a month or something later and then do another one. But I couldn't imagine watching the same film over and over and over again, even if the language is different.
I mean, like it feels like a completely different movie when you watch like it in a different
Yeah.
language again. Like you can like sense the
Yeah.
direction is different, the intention is a bit different from like language to language. So watching it for the first time in another language feels like a new experience.
Like when watching the Bing Zoom film, I end up enjoying it a million times better than I remember enjoying it the first time. But that's as far as it goes. I don't think like, let's say I also spoke French and then it came out in French that I could have the same level of enjoyment. I feel like once I hit the high the second time, I'm good.
Mhm.
The only way I feel like maybe I can get away with it a third time is if Funimation would follow them up and be like, hey, here's like the original. Because that would speak to my heart, but
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah, I mean, they did do a few stuff different. Like, instead of like saying there is only one truth or one truth prevails, they just say, uh, with Detective Conan, which was a bit off for like I guess people who know the series will like feel, oh wait, he didn't say the iconic line. Like in the intro scene where he gives like the recap of like his story and the characters and stuff, and then he says like in the mind of a child and the body of an adult. There is only one truth, or something along those lines. But in the English version of India, he says, with the mind of an adult and the body of a child, solve cases with Detective Conan, or something like that. Which is a bit different from the Funimation stuff and even like the Bang Zoom stuff, and even I guess even the Singapore, to be honest, because I think they did have like there is only one truth, like in the first episode.
Yeah.
That's why I said like I feel like there's a little bit of stricter rules, but I don't think I think it's the same situation as Funimation. I feel like they licensed it out. There's just a little bit more of a stricter guideline, like in the sense of how the IP might be handled, but also like in terms of what they can actually do with it. I think is very different than what Funimation did. Because the fact that they had to wait until Funimation lost control for them to jump in and do this, they could have done it. Funimation didn't own the rights to any of the higher movies.
Mhm.
And I think it was just literally like they wanted full control, and I don't think they're giving that up.
Yeah.
I think it's very clear throughout what they did give them when they would give it to them. Yeah, I just think that they were able to bend it a little bit, like Tubi was at the end. I feel like once it's in your lap for long enough, it's just kind of like do what you got to do.
Well, and the episodes on Tubi, every time I go back and I look on Tubi, it's still marked as a new release, which is interesting to me.
And they keep updating like the text and stuff on there. Like they fixed a few of the
Yeah.
episodes that have the wrong description. Some are still broken, but the fact they went back and did that, they keep renaming the show constantly. From Case Closed to Detective Conan to Case Closed / Detective Conan. The fact that they keep going back in there to put stuff in there kind of makes it feel like it's not going anywhere in the sense of them just taking it off the service.
By the way, I don't know if anybody mentioned this, but I noticed through the TMS website they're talking about, of course, the anime NYC premiere of the Scarlet Bullet, but there's a text in one of the sentences that says fans unable to attend Anime NYC will soon be able to enjoy the Scarlet Bullet from the comfort of their homes, as the title will become available digitally for purchase or rent. So that sounds pretty. I didn't know that.
Well, I just from my stance on everything I've heard, just in general, just call me a schizophrenic. I hear things, but I'm not gonna go any further than saying how I hear these things. But from what I've always heard is it's very very close, whether it's before or after. Or I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally at midnight the same night when that stops showing that it would appear.
And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what they do. But it sounds like maybe by the end of the month it'll hit. I mean, the physical it seems like will come down the road, obviously from Discotech, but at least being able to get your hands on it digitally.
Yeah.
But what a missed opportunity by TMS, they really fumbled this and I think have lost some momentum. I mean, big because there's the Tubi Dub, but that was back in February. We're in November and we're almost a year from having nothing. You know,
I can see not having something for as long as we did, and I feel like they could have gotten away with it. Maybe a little bit shorter than what it was, and it would have been fine. But it's the fact of the material that you had at hand. Like, we knew of this since 2020 that it was going to be in English. And I
Right.
feel like, it's also a 2019 film originally. Or no, it was just a 2020 film, sorry. But, like, we knew since 2020 that it was going to also be in English. And it's just kind of like... And then you also announced the date it was coming out and then backpedaled on it, where I feel like it's because of what the material is. And I do feel like, yes, I agree, they went a little bit too long without doing anything, but I feel like they've given us so much between over a whole season's worth. What were that, like over 50 episodes, like 50s?
Yeah, 52, I think 53. Yeah,
I mean that, and didn't we get a movie this year?
No.
it's been over a year since the last release, which was the Lupin versus Conan TV special.
Yeah.
That was the last physical anything we got.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't know. I just feel like they could have gotten away with the time that they did. I just agree it should have been a little bit shorter than what it was. But it's also just like, when you finally come back and it's something that you should have released years ago, is kind of like, I feel like that's how you really kill momentum in a sense. It's just like, when you have something that you could have released, I'd say if they would have released Scarlet Bullet maybe 4 months ago, we'd be singing a different tune. And I think it's just because it's going on way past too long. And then the only thing you have to show for it is something we should have had forever ago.
So this is a question I've got for JoeB. So as far as the films, are they done in any sort of different way? Is there a remaster that they're using, or what kind of, like, how is that being done?
Like for the episodes, they've been using the remastered episodes, even for like 345, which is not even out on Netflix. So they have like the proper HD version, but because the channel is an SD, like it's an SD channel, so like 480p, so it doesn't come across, like the HDness of the video doesn't come across. So even though they do use the remastered episodes in movies, I believe the movies are not remastered for some reason, because I have a 10 GB remaster of the episode of the movies, and they don't look as clear. But as far as the episodes go, they've been using like the remastered stuff. So they have...
I don't even know if they ever did remastered movies, did they?
Yeah, they did for the Blu-ray, like a 1080p remaster, which I have like on hand as well. So I've even like joined it together with the movie just to see how it looks. And the best part is about these movies is the runtime is exactly the same as the original Japanese. So even though they censor stuff, they don't like cut out scenes or audio. They just like take a video and then just like stretch it out a bit to cover the censored parts, which is kind of smart. And they like do jump cuts and stuff. Not always. Like some parts are still intact, and I'm not sure how they get away with it. But there are stuff that are still there. They just like cut to another part and then let the audio continue, which is pretty good, because with the episodes before, one thing that was pretty bad was that they used to cut the end credit scene. But this time they let the credits roll like all the way to the end with the Japanese song until the end credits, which is, I'm really happy that they did stuff like that. In the final part of the episodes, they did actually start showing the end credits as well. I'm not sure like why it took them so long, or like how they got the idea of to do end credits again, but I'm really happy that they started that again, because they were skipping a lot of important scenes in the end credits.
Well, they were cutting off like parts of the episode, I know, in some of the earlier stuff. I don't know if they still did that. Do you know? Do you happen to know how the movies fared as far as ratings, or is all that still coming out?
Oh no! Like we've got the info for the movies. So we've had 2 movies so far, which is movie 1, which is
1 and 6.
Yeah, 1 and 6. So 1 did phenomenally well. Movie 1 did numbers, as far as I've heard. It has been successful. Movie 1. Movie 6, on the other hand, did not do as well, but that's mainly because that was on a holiday. So people were like outside and just doing stuff like rituals and festivals and stuff. So movie 6 didn't do as... Yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe I'm thinking of movie 5. No, maybe it is 6. But the 6 is the
Phantom of Baker Street.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that one, it's also kind of just, it's kind of like a far-fetched movie. I feel like it's a sci-fi movie with Conan characters. So I mean, I kind of get.
Was the time slot any different?
Oh no, it was like at the prime 5 p.m. and then 5:30 p.m. the next
Okay.
day. So it was like prime time of Conan. So people are used to like 5 p.m. Conan. So it was like pretty good. Like people are used to it. I did ask people like who were watching for the first time which movie they preferred, and a bunch of people said movie one. So, like it was by far movie one.
Yeah.
It's one of the best movies. I mean,
Yeah, it is a very good movie.
it's usually the
Yeah.
sequels that just it's hard to keep up with the sequel. But I mean,
Yeah.
they do it sometimes.
Yeah, they should have done movie 5, to be honest. That would have been like really good, like because it's a black organization centric
Yeah.
movie with highbrow.
It's sad because my favorite movie is going to be 26. I think. So it's kind of
Definitely.
just like.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get movie 26 next year.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if you get your own version of it.
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Are they just still wanting to keep those films for television, or do you know if there's anything in the works on releases, or how is that kind of being viewed in that market right now? Because I know it's a separate license, but it's something that I'm kind of curious about if it's doing so well.
Yeah, so the licensing for that, as far as I know, is just for television because they do have their own streaming service. Like ETV has their own streaming service, but they don't put Conan there. So I'm pretty sure that it's just for TV. The streaming for Conan is actually with Odex. The theater releases is done by TMS and Odex together. So they're like headlining these sub releases, like movie 3 and movie 7.
Say another thing I could see them possibly doing is using this chance as like a test to understand how to market it. Like with these movies, for example, how we're getting the movies, you're getting the movies, sometimes even the same movies, where I feel like it could also be a test of TMS to kind of like try to understand how to market it. And maybe that's why their idea to sell it as a TV kind of type thing might have been what their plan was. Because I could also see the plan just being like, hey, here's the English content, we're done. But I could also see it being like with these movies, and maybe why we haven't seen anything recently is because their hands have been in this. I think it could just be like they're just kind of figuring out how to market Conan and how to do it in English and using this as a testing ground. Because to be honest, a lot of this stuff that's happening in India ain't going to get out anywhere else unless TMS Entertainment says this is our Conan going forward. And that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like them being this hands-on, why be so hands-on on this? Like, I feel like it's kind of like them just like, hey, let's figure this out because it's clearly working. I feel like they became more hands-on than they were in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's them like saying, hey, this is working. Let's wrap our heads around this, even if it costs us some money to kind of figure it out so then they can repeat this for us. Is a possibility.
Well, and it may not seem much, and I hate to just jump in here, but it's funny that this all kind of comes full circle because Odex's involvement in the first ever English dub in Singapore.
Yeah.
Now full circle they're in on this piece too. So I think that's an interesting piece. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I wouldn't be shocked if TMS Entertainment knew that as well and pitched them as like, this is who's going to do it. Or
I mean, Odex has a license for Asia and South Asia entirely, like Southeast Asia, Pacific region. So they're the ones who like deal with Conan like for the past 20 years. So it's just that they've never seen India as a market. But as soon as like Crunchyroll came to India and stuff, like people have started noticing that India is like has a huge anime market.
It does.
Yeah. So it's like an untapped region. So they're just like taking the chance.
Well, I'm not trying to compare you to China because that's not right. But but like even in China, when they just started lifting some bans on video games, it's like a complete untapped market, and they're really trying to hit it. And like I think there's like a law like where you can only play it for so many hours a day or something, and it's like good luck keeping track on that. But like it's just the fact that it's so untapped. They put a lot of effort into it, and I can see the same thing here. It's untapped just because no one thought to really.
But do you guys think this is like a short shotgun tactic? Because they're doing the movies on TV, they're doing the movies in theaters, doing the episodes on streaming, they're doing the episodes on TV.
Well, I don't know. I feel like with India, it's from their side. I feel like it's a shotgun.
Not in India.
Well, no, I just mean like on their side, I feel like it's like I think it's them just trying to rush out, do as many as they can, just
Yeah.
because it's like why not? It's working. I think TMS is kind of shotgunning it in the sense of they're just trying to see how they can make it work for themselves. Because I don't think they cared if Funimation took off
Yeah.
near the end, at least. I think if it kept being successful, I think they'd care. And I think they may have even conjoined a license at one point with Funimation to continue going if things didn't go so sour and were so iffy by the community, not like in the name changes and stuff like that. I feel like if no one ever complained about that, I do think Funimation would have eventually teamed up with TMS to have carried this on if TMS cared that much. Because, like, let's say it ended around 400 or 500, TMS Entertainment would be stupid to restart in English.
Yeah.
Don't put it past them. Don't put it past them. I don't
Yeah.
know. I you know what I will say? I would not be surprised if at some point those episodes do become available for streaming. I
Oh, yeah.
bet ETV and Odex can strike a deal if there's enough money in it. They might strike a deal to do that because now they have to go get that license from TMS. They're going to have to buy it from them.
Yeah.
But if it's generating that much money, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because TMS Entertainment's going to be a stickler on giving it because they want to do Conan themselves. And giving them that would be an issue in a sense with that, unless really in guidelining, it's like it's only these languages and we can still do our own because they're not going to give that back up after just getting it back from Funimation. They're not going to give streaming rights away again.
The Japanese streaming rights is always going to be with Odex and TMS. Like I don't see them letting go of that. But in terms of the dubs,
I
that
meant
would
with
actually help.
English.
Yeah.
Or maybe they say you could do all languages but English. Maybe I don't know.
No, they'll tell us to do English as well, but they're gonna keep the Bang Zoom one away from India, as far as I know. Like they're not gonna like try and mix that with India because India has its own versions.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting the English ones as well, like the Indian English versions. But I don't see that mixing outside India, and I don't see like Bang Zoom coming into India.
I can see Bang Zoom coming in, but not as a heavy hitter. I feel like they'll let this do its thing, but I do think eventually, like, you'll be able to go on Amazon and rent the movie. Like, I do think there'll be access to it, but I don't think they're going to be promoting it in India or anything.
Yeah, maybe not. Like, even
Has there been
movies...
any? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, has there been any casting changes? For the films.
As far as I know, in terms of English, there haven't been, as far as I've seen. Maybe one of the inspectors, but I'm not too sure. But other languages have seen changes. Like even Tamil has seen a change in Kogoro. In terms of Kogoro, Inspector Megure. In the English one, sorry, the Hindi one, we've had. So basically, Sonoko used to be voiced by the same person in English and Hindi, but now Sonoko only voices in English, and they've changed the Hindi voice of Sonoko, which was pretty sad because she was doing a good job. Like she was the only person who voiced in both languages. So it's kind of sad to see that we don't have that crossover anymore in languages.
Any reason why? Do you know anything as to why they would do that?
I mean, it might be contracts because they did have like a gap in between. So I guess maybe that might be a thing. They might have had other commitments. Because there's been like changes between all of the languages. So I'm pretty sure that's just like them not realizing that the movies are gonna be next when people have already moved on to other projects. So it wasn't like it wasn't like foreseen that they would be doing the movies. Everyone thought like 150 is a huge number. 150 episodes is a huge order. So no one expected to get another one so soon, like another batch of movies or episodes. So they had already moved on to other stuff, most likely.
As far as I know, when we talked about it before, the Tamil dub was like the gold standard as far as the beginning. Is it still holding the baton in that? Even with the films, or where are they at there?
Oh yeah, like the movies, Conan has done a lot better than what I initially like. When they changed Conan, I was pretty iffy on it, but now that I've seen the movies, they've actually done a pretty good job with him. Even like the voice of Conan had like it's not Conan, the voice of Shinichi had posted a screenshot of a DM that he received from someone in, I believe, a person who speaks Marathi who had said like, I don't understand Tamil, but your voice is so good for Shinichi. And he had like screenshot it, and he was like, thank you for all the praise. It means a lot. And so the Tamil dub has been receiving a lot of praise from lots of people. The new Kogor does sound a bit different. I prefer the old one. But because like I jump between languages like English, Tamil, and some others, so it's still pretty. It still holds strong. I wish I knew Hindi because they've said that improves a lot, like in these movies. So I would really love to like get a chance to watch Hindi as well. Also, I did hear the Gujarati dub of Conan does not censor words like smoking, drinking, suicide, poisonous names like cyanide and stuff. They just like say it as it is and use cuss words as well. So that was pretty interesting because in other languages, when they say like cyanide or something, they say medicine or chemical because they want to censor the words, and they don't use the word smoking at all. They just like leave a blank space where the word smoke comes or cigarettes. They just like they don't censor it out. They just like put like an empty silence there, which is kind of awkward. But for that one language, I have no idea how they're getting away with it. Maybe they don't like people don't like look at it as much as or as hard. But that was like a thing. Also, there was a huge bug for movie 6. uh, so they do 12 languages. And one of the languages, which is again Gujarati for some reason, was missing. So out of the
Wow.
12 languages, we got only 11. And the worst part is, or the funniest part is, the end credit scene of Conan playing Pac-Man was in Gujarati, and the entire movie was in Hindi.
Oh,
So that means they've had, yeah, they had the dub for the Gujarati movie, but for some reason they effed up and they just left the end credits as Gujarati, which is
That's funny.
insane.
But it
maybe
doesn't
it'll
surprise.
air on like a repeat.
Yeah,
I
it
hope
does.
so. I hope so.
Could you imagine if it has the other movies ending when it comes out? But no, and I guess on my final note that I really have on any of this is circling back to Tubi. I know Professor C is like, if they redo it one more time, I'm out. I'm down for one more time just because I want it good from the start. But a lot of them were manga, TV originals, so it's not that big of a deal. But I could see them really taking a number from India here and kind of like doing what I was originally saying, what the master
I
plan
hope
would
so.
be, is doing just the main cases. TMS
Yeah.
won't mess that up and get rid of Harley episodes or anything, but
Mhm.
I could see that. I could see them saying, okay, even if they restart with Tubi again, same, and everything going down with Wendy Lee, who even knows where that would stand with Conan anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, what if like if she gets blacklisted like Allison, it's kind of like, do you find someone who matches? Do you restart again? Do you just quit?
What's going on
But
with Wendy Lee?
oh well, I mean, I can get into
Uh,
that in a minute. But she's turning into Allison, huge time. And Allison, she doesn't do anime anymore. She blew up her thing, kind of self exploded, so she knew she wouldn't go back to it, so she could go do her own thing. Which props to her. Glad you can go do your own business, but like she bombed herself, so she could never come back. But Wendy Lee is kind of going down that path, but I don't think she's trying to bomb herself. I just think she's just bombing herself. But I can get into that in a minute. But what I was going to say was I could see them taking a page out, even if they restart with Tubi, because like it looks like they got the quality under control anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, now why your quality is good. But I could see them restarting, but picking the main episodes, under TMS's like hand and foot, and I think that's probably what we'll get if they do restart. I think that they learn this works and it keeps people engaged, and it makes more sense because you're throwing this new thing down my throat, not necessarily starting in any particular order, and a lot of it's filler. Like, where's the excitement? But like in India, it's like smack, 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 like action. And I think that's what the show also needs. Is just constantly something engaging, not just, oh, hey, this is my familiar face that I see every day. You want to see the plot progress.
Yeah.
But back to Wendy Lee, you know, I mean, I know that you really don't care about Bayonetta or anything, Professor C, but do you remember that chat at all, like where we were talking about Helena Taylor? Because that's kind of like the vibe. She makes Helena Taylor look like a saint, and that's not good, because I think Helena Taylor did worse than Allison, and like that was some record stuff that Allison did. But with Helena Taylor, just to kind of bring that up real quick, she lied and said she was only offered $4,000 as a lump sum. She reached out to see what her worth was, and then claimedly they said 10,000, but they offered her over 15 grand to do the whole game, and she claimed that she was only offered 4 grand, and then she caught herself up in a lie and said it was 10 grand. And it's just like, you know, she's black, she's done. She's done. She's not doing voice acting anymore. You know, I mean, TMZ was covering it, and TMZ don't talk about anime or video games. That's not a thing they do. Right. It was just, they're like, oh my god, could you believe they're getting paid like this? She got paid more than people who did Breath of the Wild for Zelda. Like, shut up, take your money, be quiet, and voice this character. Like, I don't understand what was going on in her head. I mean, she's mainly a theater person. And she wanted to swing her weight around, thinking she asked for 6 figures in royalties. Nobody gets that. Nintendo, you know, you made more than Nintendo people would have made on this game, and that's the high people who are going to get it, you know. And I'm just like, even if you did get that 4,000, which you were offered 10 to 15 plus, even if you were offered just that 4 grand in reality, you made good, because people in Breath of the Wild made 3,000. So, like, you need to, you know, for something as niche as Bayonetta.
Yeah.
You know, and she was skewing numbers, too. She was counting Smash Brothers just because Bayonetta's in Smash Brothers. Like, no, that's not how you skew how much the franchise is worth, either. And Wendy Lee, you know, is balancing on the same act, like how she goes, I made up the voice of Bayonetta, and since I made up the voice, only I deserve to speak as her. You know, kind of like how I did someone else's role in a video game from like a movie or something, and she goes, but I have no right to sign merchandise as that character because I just kind of played the sheep. But she's just like, but I did Bayonetta, and no one should ever be able to do her signed merchandise as her. I'm like, you're crazy, woman. And Wendy Lee's kind of pulling the same page of I guess she didn't get recasted for something, or
in Bleach.
And she, you know, she made a big scene about that, and then Xander Mobus, the saint he is, says, oh my god, Wendy, you know, like, I'm sorry, you deserved it. And she goes, but you will always be that character in my heart. That's how I'm going to portray this character. And then she yells at Xander, saying something along the lines of, like, you're not actually sorry, or this, that, or like blasting on the internet. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, damage control, like, is not pretty. And she just kept going off and off and off. And anytime anyone would say something, she would just, like, as if she was being attacked or something. And they were nice words.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pair yourself with that. And she doesn't. She hasn't stopped. She hasn't stopped yet.
Oh god, she's still going.
She's still going. So it's kind of just like, she makes Helena Taylor look like a saint. Like, Helena Taylor, while she stopped, if you approach her about it, she will still go. But you know, she's like, oh, they're just trying to save their ass game. Blah 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 blah. This, you know. But she's left it alone, and I feel bad for Helena a little bit, because I think she's mentally has an issue. I think, like, she might suffer from, like, schizophrenia of some sort. Now that's just my hot take. I don't know. So, like, I can kind of excuse it, but, like, at least she dropped it. Like, she's still lying, but, like, she's not bringing it up unless someone brings it up, and someone's in every post she makes. someone brings it up. And that's just what happens when you deal with a big IP like that. But I feel like she makes her look like a saint because she don't stop. Like, and even when no one's poking her, she just has to go somewhere and start something. And I don't know. I was
even
never
like
a fan of
Sounds kind
her.
of like the Sean Schemmel. Sounds like the Sean Schemmel effect, where he's like, "Oh, I don't go to conventions where other voices of Goku, go because I'm the voice." I'm like, "Oh God, get over yourself. You're not even the best one." Shut the fuck up.
No. And like I said, I wasn't even ever a big fan of her. Like I like how she sounded a little bit like Nier from Death Note, but that's all it ever done for me. Like it was never like, oh hell yeah, you're great at Conan. And like she just finally, which it might not even be her fault. It's honestly when they turn to like the working with Epcar and whatnot, how she could have a kiddish voice tone in places. And I liked that. I thought that was missing. I do think it made it in one of the Bing Zoom movies, but it was kind of just like finally. And I feel like that was one thing that was missing, but that might not have even been her fault. But it just also kind of helped dilute her performance where I was just like, I can take her or leave her. So,
I think in the TV series, I thought she's done very well. I mean, what I've seen on Tubi, but that part's good.
Yeah, but if they want to separate themselves from Wendy, and then they also see what Indy is doing, they might restart and just leave Wendy out. But I do think
they might.
I do think they'll keep Wendy for the movies if she wants to keep going, because that's dumb to trash the movies. The movies are in good quality because they paid for it. They paid for the premium type thing. So I don't think Wendy's gone.
No.
Yeah.
And if Wendy's gone, they're gonna mimic her and continue the movies. 110%.
No,
but I could see them completely changing the TV show again if they, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see
I
Wendy
couldn't
go
agree
down.
more.
Like I said, we should also get the sub of 26, so like we can finally talk about that too, like just with that movie means, because Gosho finally said the movies are canon, so it's kind of like something to talk about too, canon wise.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
JoeB, because you keep trying to tell me something that I don't need to know. I mean, I already know about this, and I think that's all I need to know. But yeah, no, every single time we bring it up, you're trying to tell me something, like either like the movie's not good or this or happens. This is the climax, by the way, and it's like I remember you said thing. I know we were talking about the other day. You said something that was majorly spoiled of the movie, and I forgot what it was, and I'm like, thank God, because that really, I was really mad. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was really upset with you, and I was just like. And then I just forgot what it was. I just forgot what it was.
Friendship was almost ruined on that day.
Oh yeah. I mean, you killed the Sherry movie for me. Like, my girlfriend does that enough. She tells Sherry to eat rocks every time she sees her.
Yeah, just a month more, and then you'll be in the 26 club.
I know, and I feel skeptical. I mean, between how jarring that was. Besides that. I feel like I always have to be on the like you still ruined this movie for me, even if I forget what it was. Every single time you try to bring something up, it sounds jarring to where I feel that this whole time in this movie, I'm going to be uncomfortable thinking something awful is going to happen, or I'm not going to be happy with something, and I'm not going to be able to sit and like enjoy this movie for what it is as it unfolds, because I feel like I'm always going to be waiting for something to T-bone me. So thanks.
I mean, to be fair, you should always go into new shows and new movies just sitting there expecting something to come out of nowhere and basically blow
but he makes it sound like disappointing, like popping up at the end of the movie doesn't expect you, like, oh my god, wasn't expecting that, but it's like it's on a poster, so you're going to, but because they're going to do this, that's like not putting Shadow the Hedgehog, somewhere when he's like a main focus of the game, like that's going to sell copies. You want to do that. It's like there's that kind of surprise factor, but like he makes it sound like this is going to be something that's going to unsettle with me. You don't think something always unsettling to your core is going to happen every time you watch a TV show or a movie. That's when they are just supposed to hit you, and you're like, oh my god, didn't see that coming. Like, let's say Rand dies. I know she's not, but I'm going to use that as an example. And she goes, well. But it's like, when you have an unsettling feeling of that going into it, then it's not as impactful. But like if you weren't expecting it and you just got I'd hit with Rand, getting shot in the head. Those are two different ways you're going to experience that if you knew ahead of time that something jarring was going to happen. She gets shot in the head, you'd be like, that's what it was. And then you relax, but then you can't relax because Rand's dead.
Yeah.
You got my guard up for this movie. I'm just glad with Scarlet Bullet that I'm going to be able to enjoy this movie because in English, like the original way I wanted to, because I only remember one scene of that entire movie, and that's just because of how bad the version you gave to me. It was all third person. There were some robotic voices in there.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember anything besides the end part. One of the ending parts of the movie with the bullet and the train with Akai and the magnets and shit. Like that's all I remember. I remember nothing else. I don't remember who did it. I think it was maybe female. I don't remember. I just remember bits and pieces of the interaction. And I don't remember why they would have done it either, which is good. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, but I would say that was like one of the weakest ones, like of the last 4 or 5 movies.
Oh, I agree. I thought it was gonna be a turning point, and this was this person's first era film, so it very made sense when we saw it. But I was looking forward to it, and I still think I'm gonna enjoy it. Like I didn't think that highly of Zero the Enforcer the first time I watched it. And then I watched it in Bing Zoom, and I'm like 5 fucking stars. Like it's not a great movie. It's still not a great movie, but I enjoyed myself to that level because it was in English. It still had high octane.
Yeah, I mean, Bride of Halloween. Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to get to Bride of Halloween because that was like the best so far.
So I think I will enjoy this movie way more than what it probably deserves.
Oh yeah,
but that's just because Bang Zoom does such a great job, and it's Akai. Like, the whole family's here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna enjoy it. And we finally get to hear Okiya Subaru. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, that is a thing.
And I wonder if they're gonna do the same thing as Tubi did. It ruins the illusion. I'm sorry. What is the point of a voice choker when you're voiced by the same person? Like, I get Sonic and Shadow, like whatever, but like when being voiced by the same people in certain dubs, but it's just like if you're trying to be somebody else on purpose, it's fine if you sound like a little bit alike, I guess, but like it being so drastically different wouldn't be bad either because it's supposed to be different. But like they're voiced by the same person in the Tubi dub. So it's kind of like we've only seen him in Akai in flashbacks, I think. So like it's not as jarring yet. Like they still have a chance to kind of change it up, but it's just like I don't think that's the right call. I don't think they should be the same person.
Yeah. Do you remember when Okiya Subaru shows up in the anime, like episode number wise or something?
700 in the 700s somewhere.
Wow. Okay.
Or no, 500. Sorry, 500. Sorry.
I was about to say, isn't 700 where they had the entire season of filler?
Isn't 700 where he came back? Like
that
yeah, no, sorry, it was the 500s. Akai died in literally like I believe it was episode 505 or 507, something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, bitches, I'm here."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and the Dimensional Sniper. He's gonna be Okiya Su. Oh my god! Oh wait! Oh no! That's gonna be a huge spoiler for people who are watching movie 20. Movie 18.
That was a spoiler for me too. I watched that before, because they always give you a little red herrings before before the show actually comes out on television. So you always know what to expect. And I was watching them in order. I'd say, okay, I'm at episode blah 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 blah. This is the precursor, so I got to watch the movie now. And that tells you before he reveals it in the show. They always do that. And that's why with knowing that this movie is canon, we always knew the movies were somewhat canon or had canon facts in them. Like why Richard sucks so bad is because of movie 2. And we just never had clarification of that in the series, but Gosho told us that's why. And so it's kind of just like, okay, whether Hybera gets caught or whatever in this movie, I think she's not going to. I don't think you have to tell me that. I think I would just know because you're not going to do her off in a movie like that.
Who played the fifth?
At least as far as I know. And I'm gonna take your plea to the fifth as a joke and move on, just in case. But I feel like that's going to be a precursor to something that's actually going to happen in the show. I think something very similar is going to happen. I think her identity is going to get out, and I think that's going to be the next step. That's usually what the movies are. Is like, hey, even if it's a year or two from now, this is the next step. And so I do think we're going to see the vibes of this movie transfer over, and that's why I'm excited for this movie. I'm just excited to see what the vibes in the show is going to be later, because that's what they did with Okia. They, he pressed the voice choker, said it in Akai's voice, and everyone flipped the shit out. And then in the show, we got the Scarlet return. So I feel like it's going to be very similar, whether it's a year or two from now. I think we're going to see Hybra go down this very trench. And I think once she goes down that trench, it's going to be the final showdown. And finally, I mean, we know who the boss is, and it's just kind of like, how long can you keep this game going? So I think that's what it comes down to. I think we're nearing the end. I definitely do think by, I wouldn't be surprised if 2025 it was done, but I could see Conan ending in 2028.
I mean, we do know plans for another 7 more movies, if I'm not wrong. There are plans for 7 more.
I still don't know where you fully got that information.
Oh,
I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I can still see us still getting movies after the show's over. Like this took place in between this and this, or maybe they're new generation movies. Like I said, like I do believe we will be experiencing Conan 10 years from now, even 15 years from now. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the show ended in 2028. Because I think it's perfect because 8 looks like a bow tie. I don't know. That was an intrusive thought I had. I was like, well, maybe they could push it out to that and be like the real end for Conan. But I do think whether Conan ends 2025, 2028, 3030, whenever Conan ends, I do not think that is the stake in the knife, like, for the series. I don't think it ends there. I do think I 100% stand by Rachel and Conan. The series will end with happy endings, like they say. That Kogoro might become a good detective again. He might end back up with Eerie. I think Rachel and Conan will get together, or Rachel and Shinichi or Jimmy, whatever the hell you want to call her. That would be weird if you got there with Conan.
Yes, better say.
Even if they knew the truth, I think that's still weird. You're prancing around with a 7-year-old. I mean, so I'm not even going to touch that anymore. But
please
don't touch children, Rachel. That's the moral of the story. But didn't think that had to be said. But I feel like they're gonna have a baby. They're both gonna look at each other and they're gonna call him Conan. Even if we don't get a spinoff, I do believe they're going to one that keeps the door open. Even if they're not thinking about keeping the door open, I do believe that the show will end with them being married and they will have a baby and they are gonna name him Conan. I stand by that, even if I'm wrong about the Vermouth dying and saying the lines back to him. Even if I'm wrong about all that, I do think she's gonna take the bullet for Conan. I do think that's gonna happen. She's gonna say that Vermouth will die, and that will be a happy moment for me. My girlfriend will be pissed because she cheers on Vermouth because she hates Hybra. So she'll be happy. I can't wait to see her reaction to the end of movie 26 because I do know about the. I can't wait to see her fucking jaw go, what the fuck? Because I know it coming. I'm probably going to record it and I'll send it to you guys. But because it's after credit scene, right? Just so I know when to pull out my camera.
Which one?
It's
not post. It's not post.
Oh shit. Well, I guess I'll just time it when they're outside. Like
yeah, you'll know when it happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they're gonna have a baby named Conan. I can guarantee that, and then the show can continue being called Case Closed in English because it's still technically Case Closed, same characters. And then they can still legally call it Detective Conan because his name is fucking Conan. It just makes sense. Yeah. They're not going to let it die because if they're going to let it die, Conan would have ended years ago. Gosho kept saying it was going to end. It's going to end. Stay tuned. The end is coming. Yeah. And then it kept getting stretched out. Like it would have ended forever ago if Gosho could have. And now he's gotten to the point where he's stretching it out so much where it kind of feels like it's losing its its strength in the sense of not necessarily numbers, but where you're like, okay, you're egging us on too much and you need to end it. But I do like recently they've really been able to pull it back in with like it being extra entertaining. So I do think like that's them like re-stepping on the gas to say, okay, let's pull this back in. Let's get another good season or two out of this. And a season could be 78 episodes. You know, like I'm not saying it's gonna be an immediate turnaround. It could still be a couple years, but I do think they're on the path now to taking us to the end. And I think this movie is proof of that, because usually within 2 years you see the movie's fruit in the show. So I do think it's coming.
Yeah, maybe. I guess we could. Who's to say? Yeah,
Gosho.
but yeah.
Like, if this man dies, do you not understand? Like, I understand some people know the ending, but are they going to do it justice? Or if, you know, someone else becomes power of attorney of the show or whatever, who's to also say when the quality will be there if they leave something out, if they interpretate it right, or it's not even just that. Like, people can become corrupt when people die. You know, it's one thing to say he's sick and he's fulfilling his wish, you know, fine, but like, say he's dead. Like, they can be like, hey, this is worth a lot of money. Let's keep pumping this out and not let it die. Is something that could, you know, if Gosho wants to pull the plug, he can pull the plug. You know, that's something that he has the power of. You know, if Gosho says, I'm writing you one more chapter, you're ending my show, they're ending his show. You know, and that's as simple as it is. But if someone else takes charge and they're like, hey, we'll pay you X amount of money to keep it going, they can run that into the ground. And I don't think Gosho wants that. I think he's okay with running it into the ground as long as he knows he can keep pulling it back. And I think that's probably why he ends up in the hospital a lot. You know, like me and my girlfriend, we were watching Blue Exorcist because, you know, I was in high school. I was in high school, and my my study hall teacher was like, "Hey, you should watch this. You should watch this." I'm like, "All right," and then, you know, I wouldn't actually do it. And then, you know, I finished Conan, and I was like, "Well, I guess," you know. And now it's time, and I sat down after so many months of bugging me, and I sat down and I closed it within 5 minutes. I said, "Yeah, no, it's enough internet for today." And then she comes along and she's like, "Hey, you know, this is one of my favorite animes. We should watch it." I'm like, And then I watched it, and I would say near the end of season 1, the last few episodes, is when it started to kind of grab me. I'm still not saying I love it or anything, but I don't mind watching it. And we're waiting season 3 now because season 3 was just announced. So, you know. And this, I believe, is the final chapter. I think this is the end. So it'll be interesting to see that happen, I guess. But you know, how I'm comparing this to Conan is the writer. The reason why the show takes 6 years almost to do like the anime is because she doesn't overwork herself, and she just kind of does it whenever she feels like it. And then when they have enough to make a season, they make a season. Gosho doesn't do that. He'll pour his heart into it, all of his exhaustion. You know, you look at Bleach, for example. I don't watch Bleach or even read Bleach, but I know of some of the stories behind it. Like the beginning, it's so artistic and everything inside of the manga, and now it just looks like bland. It just looks like characters on the page, and there's really no effort into it. It's just kind of just them being drawn in the simplest style, and then text added. Conan's never done that. If anything, it keeps improving. And I think that takes a lot out on Gosho. And then also him like having to stretch it out and then try to pull it back in, because he has to constantly keep pulling it back in. Otherwise, you don't have anything to keep stretching. And I think that's a problem for him. That's why he keeps ending up in the hospital. And I think he should have ended it a long time ago. Not just for us, like, okay, I don't even care anymore. I just want an ending. But I think we just got another 15-parter in store coming eventually, and then they'll coast that to the end, is what I think is going to happen. And I'm down for it. I mean, we're about to hit episode 1,100, and that's got to be a milestone. They got to do something with that. It's almost like hitting your 100 episodes again for the first time. So I like to see, maybe we'll get like a 2-hour special or something and really get into it. I don't know.
I don't think they have the material like to do that because they've come pretty far. Like the latest manga episode was the introduction of uh the police character, which is
Yeah,
pretty yeah. So I
and
don't think
I
yeah.
saw the manga like because I checked the volumes, and you could check to see like what comes up in future volumes, even if they're
Mhm.
not out yet in manga
Yeah.
format. And
Mhm.
she comes back like once or twice, like since her anime appearance. So she's gonna be a recurring character. She's not done. She's not
Yeah.
done. Even if she hasn't appeared in the manga since, she's coming back. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw her listed in future volumes. So she's coming back, like I said, once or twice that I know of. And I like her. I
Yeah,
like her.
she's the
So
best character introduced like in the
that's
recent
new.
Conan.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to, like I like Rummy. I like to see what the hell's gonna happen with her. Like she's sketch. Like I think she's like Jody in a sense. Like I feel like she's not necessarily on the bug organization side per se, but she's closer than Jody is because she was looking at the death list. So
Yeah.
so I don't know. She's sketchy. I get she was just supposed to be a rum suspect. And maybe there are 3 rums and we're just crazy. Like even though they finally announced who rum was. I don't know. It's just interesting. I just like to see what they're gonna do. It's one thing I like about Conan. They introduce characters and you love them, and you love to see whenever they come. And even if you don't like them, like I hate Vermouth, like go die in a hole. At least do it right, so I can care for you when you die. But even when you hate a character, you love to see them. Like you're like, because you know shit's gonna go down. Like Haley, for example, she hates Ibra. But that doesn't change for her. Right? She can do something cool, and she'll call her a whiny bitch. That's, so maybe not in every case for every person, but usually, the only person I get when I see them that I actually hate is the guy with the chickmunk. Every time he comes on, I'm like, end this, please. I'm
Oh
done.
my god, I can't remember his name.
He's the only guy I can't stand. The only one, like, where I'm like, I hate this. Get him off my screen, please. Like I hate Vermouth, but I'm like happy when I see her. The only person I also hate, but I don't mind when he's around because it's comedic. But Professor Inspector Magnum, I can't stand him, and I'm like, oh my god, this clown again. When I see him, like I feel like Richard when I see him. Like I'm like, come on, we don't need this. But like I don't hate it. It's just kind of like, oh my god, this again. And I think that's what he's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, really? This is what we're doing right now?
Oh wait, I don't think I told you guys about the theater, like how the theater reacted to like the characters like when it came. So the biggest cheer that we had for like other theaters that had like 50, 100 people watching the movie, the biggest cheer came for Kogoro for some reason, not even Conan.
That's weird. Like Conan made his first, like Kogoro made the first appearance on screen, and they just started cheering.
Not his first appearance, but like one of his appearances, and everyone started cheering.
Oh, because I was trying to picture that, like just Kogoro comes on screen, and I'm like, woo! Yeah, Kogoro. It's kind of like when you guest star on a show, and they, like they have like the cheering, like, oh my god, like you the crowd react. Yeah, no, I can't picture that. I'm sorry. Like I can see it with Akai. I can see it with Akai. Like everyone, like yeah, like he's a badass.
Even I had like I didn't believe it at first.
Like the only way I could see that honestly is if like like let's say the French dub, like how like the French dub reused like characters from like the original, even though they stopped like a long time ago. Like if it's like all the characters were new characters, but Kogoro happened to like reprise his role from like a previous role, and then they heard him speak, and then they started to cheer. That is like the only way I could see you cheering over Kogoro. That's like Pikachu coming on. It's like Pikachu coming on the screen and being like, "Hell yeah, it's Pikachu!" Like you're watching Pokemon. What do you think's gonna happen? I'm sorry, I can't wrap my head around that.
I mean, like Conan did have cheers, and like Hybrid did have cheers, but the biggest one was for Kogoro.
It's so jarring.
And he's just a face. Conan takes him over. It's not like he's this renowned, anything. It's funny. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't believe anyone at first until multiple people had said that. I mean,
All
cool
right.
girl.
What a note to end on, because I think I'm done with Conan for now.
Oh yeah.
That's funny though.